Straight from my little patch of woods in Arden, Delaware, it's Yoga Stories Project. This podcast is about inspiring you to bring yoga and mindfulness into your life. And I'm your host, Hunter Clark Fields, Mindfulness Mama Mentor. I coach smart, accomplished, overstressed moms on how to cultivate mindfulness in their daily lives. And I've been practicing yoga and mindfulness for over 20 years and I've taught thousands worldwide. So thank you, dear listener, for being here. Thank you for being here. Today is a solo cast, and I have something to talk to you about that's really quite from the heart. And I have to tell you, I was thinking about what to call this podcast, and I thought one of the things I thought of was I should call it On Being Small Potatoes. But I think what I've settled on is what to do when you're feeling small. And I wanted to share this from the heart with you. And I'm going to give you some tips on what to do when you are feeling in that small place. And I'm going to give you 5 tips on that. And this is truly from the heart. I want to share with you that this comes from my own experience of we all have moments of failure, of setbacks, of feeling less than, of feeling a little smaller than we want to feel. And these are from my own experiences. And as a meditation practitioner for a long time and a yoga teacher, sometimes people think that I never have any of those feelings, but we all do. And so anyway, I'm going to share with you that today. This is an episode that's sponsored by my coaching practice and by Present Mama Community, which is a way of getting coaching for everyone. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end. But I just want to dive in. I want to dive into what's really important today. So what I was thinking about is that thought that comes up from time to time. And it comes up for me to time. That thought of who am I to ... fill in the blank. Do you get that one? Probably yes, right? Like we all do. And for me, I'm one person. I'm making my way in this world. I'm trying to live the best as I can. And, so I'm going to just give you a little bit of background to why this is coming up and why I want to talk to you about this today. I started out finding my way as an artist and a real seeker and searcher of truth for all of my life. Really looking for truth and understanding, self-understanding, understanding the nature of, for me personally, when I was younger, like why I suffered so much. And I just had a sort of innate core of suffering. I think a lot of us have, right? And I really focused on how to relieve that suffering for myself and did a lot of intensive study on that for many years. And I became a mother and I became a teacher. And for me as a person, a mother, a teacher, a regular person in this world, I find it hard, and I think everybody who puts their voice out there in some way can find it hard to do that sometimes. When I'm focused on service, and for me, that service is this really burning desire to contribute to the ending of suffering for as many people as I can. And, those thoughts of when I'm really focused on that service, on that work that I want to do, of helping other people who have been in the places that I've been, suffered as parents and suffered from anxiety and help those people to relieve their suffering. When I'm focused on this service of ending the suffering, those thoughts of who am I to, they just don't come up. Right? I simply do my job. I do the work to share the wisdom and the learning that have helped me mostly really end my suffering as a person and as a parent. So I'm not going to say I'm an enlightened being, but I really, really struggled. And now my relationships with my girls are really a lot better, and my temper is way, way down, and I don't have the deep lows of anxiety that I used to have as a young person. And I have really studied in depth how to do those things, how to be a more effective and more compassionate parent, how to be more peaceful and calm and more happy and contented in myself. I've studied that really in depth, and I know when I have that I want other people who are like me, like everyday people like me, to share that, to know that it's not so hard and that they can do that too. They can really reduce their suffering, right? So when I'm in that place of service of that, which is really where my heart is and why I do this podcast and why I blog and whatever, I just am moving forward, and I'm in my zone, and I'm doing my work, and I'm doing my dharma, my calling, and I don't have those thoughts. But then sometimes I get, just like everybody, right? Just like we all do, I get into my small self, right? My old insecurity habit, and that who am I thought comes up again. And, it's that thought of like, who am I to be teaching mindfulness? Who am I to be teaching parenting? Because the truth is that I sucked at both of these things. I was anxious and emotionally really very rocky as a young person. And as a parent, I was a parent, and I still am a parent who has to deal with the habit energy of an explosive temper. So, I really sucked at these things. That's why I'm drawn to yoga and mindfulness, is that I struggled so much and I needed it so much. And that's why I was drawn so much to learning deeply about parenting, because I really needed it a lot. I had a lot of suffering in both of those areas. It was intense. And the thing that I can oftentimes be really clear about is that it is actually precisely why I can teach it effectively, because I know what it's like to suffer in those areas. So let me tell you about this idea, right? So there's this idea of the wounded healer. Carl Jung coined this term. And it's around the idea that the analyst, in Jung's case, is compelled to treat the patients because she herself is wounded. Jung said, "A good half of every treatment that probes at all deeply consists in the doctor's examining himself. It is his own hurt that gives a measure of his power to heal. The wounded healer has compassion for the others who are suffering, and she has the power to share in the pain, the uncertainty, and the fear and the anguish." And so most days I know this, that my intense difficulties and suffering as a young parent are exactly what gives me that deep compassion for other parents stuck in this like mire, this difficulty. My explosive temper, and the process of healing it, and that I still continue that process, is exactly that wound of my explosive temper. That's exactly what helps me to be able to share with others who are going through the same thing. Someone who's naturally calm and peaceful parent really doesn't understand how hard it is when you have this sort of intense innate suffering. And so there's so many wounded healers. Some people say that Jesus was a wounded healer. Like when we have these wounds and we learn ourselves how to heal them, we naturally feel, propelled and drawn to saying, look, other people, like, look, you can heal these wounds too. Like, we can heal these wounds. We can change things. We can shift stuff. And as we start to shift stuff, we can shift it for many generations, right? It's this steady progress. We're becoming, more open, more aware. It's happening faster and faster. The more and more people hear about these tools, mindfulness, my meditation. It's in the schools. It's in the inner cities. It's everywhere. I'm teaching mindful parenting to this, like, to really, a really troubled and struggling neighborhood to these parents there. So it's because of my wound, my own temper, my struggles with anxiety, my struggles with those things that helped me to say, hey, I see where you're coming from. And it's okay that you have that. It's okay that you have that temper. And it doesn't mean you're a horrible person. It doesn't mean you're not, quote, mindful or, quote, conscious parent, that you have these wounds. Like, it's just a process of learning how to heal, right? And I think the more voices there are helping us heal, the better. But then other days, but less often now, but other days, I had that old habit energy comes up, right? And I feel less confident. Who am I to be teaching this? I'm small potatoes. That thought comes up. Like, there's so many other bigger, better, greater teachers who are just naturally great parents. But then, and the truth is, I am small potatoes. I'm just one woman who's suffered, healed, and wants to help others suffer less. And I can't imagine doing anything else. And in typical hunter fashion, right, I've got to like go off the beaten path and do this crazy, difficult entrepreneurial thing. But there it is. You know, I want to share this work, and I also want to live my life and be here with my kids and my husband and support my family. So how do you get through those moments when you're feeling that small habit energy, that small voice? How do you get through those moments? The Bhagavad Gita is the seminal text of yoga. Yoga in the big sense, right? As in like the path to the end of suffering. And in it, Arjuna, who's our main character, he's our protagonist, he is in this who am I small space. Who am I? Who am I to ... He's stuck, and he's like literally stuck. He's literally stuck in a chariot between two armies and not able to move forward, not able to take a step in one direction or the other. And he's in this insecure small space that we all feel from time to time. And so the Bhagavad Gita becomes this treatise on what to do when you're feeling small. So Arjuna is pretty lucky, right? Because he's, in this story, he happens to have God in his chariot. So we all don't have God in our chariot all the time, maybe. No, maybe we do, I don't know. But God tells Arjuna in this story to take action. He tells him to do his duty, to do his dharma anyway. So let me just take a step back a moment. Dharma is the word for your calling, what you're meant to do. So he says to do your dharma, do your duty anyway. So Arjuna, God is saying in some sense, it's not about being frozen by how you feel, right? What I take from this is that, do your work anyway. Do your work anyway. So when I have that, who am I to thought, right? Who am I? I may have like some tiny amount of Twitter followers, and I may sometimes have that who am I voice in my head, but I can still take action. I can still take the next step. I can still press the record button and connect with you right now, because I know that sharing my vulnerability, sharing my insecurity is something that I can do to help you, to help make your insecurity okay. We have this connection together. So God tells Arjuna to take action and let go of the fruits of his action. So to take action and be really fully 100% present for it, not in the future for the action's results. God tells Arjuna to practice mindfulness of his work, right? To practice focus, clarity, and thoughtfulness right now, letting go of the future. So can I do that? Can you do that? I don't know. I don't know. But I can see that the more I practice that, letting go of the fruits, the easier it gets. And so this is that work for what to do when we are feeling small, right? What do we do when we're feeling small? What do we do when we have failures, setbacks, mistakes, when our expectations aren't met? Maybe our expectations for ourselves, maybe just what life is handing us, right? What do we do when we're feeling small? I invite you to, number one, slow down and take care of yourself. Slow down. Pause. Do what needs to be done, right? But slow it down. Cut out the extra stuff. Make taking care of yourself a priority. Meditate, practice yoga, eat well, laugh. My friend told me to watch Groundhog Day. Can you believe that I have not watched Groundhog Day yet? I don't know. Maybe by the time this comes out, I will. But as of right now, I haven't watched Groundhog Day yet. Crazy, right? Laugh. So I listen to, wait, don't tell me to laugh, right? And I read a good escapist book. Just give yourself permission to take care of yourself and be a little nurturing, like you're having a sick day. Because that's what's happening when we're feeling small, is our heart is a little bit not at ease. We have some dis-ease in our heart. So take care of yourself. Slow down and take care of yourself, number one. Number two, accept your feelings. It's okay that they're here. So why do we accept our feelings? It's not that we're saying like, yes, I'm feeling small and it's wonderful, or yes, I want to feel like this all the time. But when we say yes to our feelings, we're just saying yes, because that's the truth. That's the reality right now. That's what's going on. Like, we accept our feelings as being here because they're here. And it's okay that they're here. It's okay to feel smaller sometimes. It's okay to not feel great when we make a mistake, or to feel anxious, or whatever those feelings are. It's okay that they're here. It's okay. And as we start to make room and say, yes, it's okay, and acceptance that they're here, then those feelings it's easier for us to let them go. It's easier to make space for them. It's kind of a paradox, right? As we say yes and we accept them, then they can float on by. Number three, get some perspective on your situation, right? Whatever your situation is, some failure, setback, or mistake, what is the big picture? Is everybody safe? Can you frame your situation in the sense of a bigger perspective so that you're not just focused on the one mistake? Can you see it as learning? Can you see it as information? Get some perspective, get the big picture. Be thoughtful about it. And sometimes to do this, you need to journal. It's a great way to do this, or talk to a really good friend or something, but to talk it out, write it out, get some perspective on it, get the big picture, notice, are you safe? Are your loved ones safe? Are you healthy? What can you appreciate? Get that big picture on what else is there. Bring in the positive, right? Number four, practice self-compassion. Self-compassion is hearing that voice, getting some perspective on those thoughts that are maybe not so kind, and switching it up. Talking to yourself as if you were your best friend. Deliberately notice those thoughts. And this is where a mindfulness practice is so, so essential, right? Because then we don't get pulled down the rabbit hole of those thoughts, and we can get some perspective on them much more easily. But as we practice self-compassion, as we practice mindfulness, nurture ourselves, give ourselves some of that loving care that we would give our best friend. What would you say to your best friend? Use those thoughts. So, and then my last tip for what to do when you're feeling small is to also do these things. Take care of yourself and slow down. Accept your feelings. Get perspective. Practice self-compassion. Do those things, but also take the next steps forward. What are the next steps? Take them. Maybe you just take one step this week. Maybe you take 2 steps next week. But on your path, your calling, your dharma, take the next steps forward for what is most important. Let go of the fruit. So I may never have 60,000 Twitter followers. And I may never be Oprah Winfrey. And that's okay. Because I make an impact on the world. I mean, I get emails all the time from the people I make an impact on the world. And sometimes I forget that. And you'll forget that too. But continue to take the next steps. Take action. Continue. Press the record button. Connect. Yeah. Take those next steps in your dharma, in your calling. And so that's it. That's it for today. I just wanted to share these thoughts with you while they're fresh in my mind. I think it's important for me to connect with you when it really feels like it's important to, right? When I'm really feeling that from the heart, that, it's we all suffer in so many different diverse ways. And when we are open about that, right? When we don't put on that facade of it's all fine and my life is perfect and everything's great, yada, 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 then it makes it okay. It makes it okay, right? It makes it okay to have those small feelings sometime. So I like this to end this podcast on what to do if you're feeling small. And it's a really wonderful quote by the Dalai Lama. And so this is to hearten you and encourage you if you are feeling small right now or have, okay, my friend. And here's the quote. If you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your ears. I appreciate you supporting Yoga Stories Project in any way you can. Maybe that's telling a friend today or sharing it on your Facebook page or leaving me an iTunes review. All those ways really make a difference. If you leave me a review and want to send me your mailing address, I will even write you a personal thank you note. I like doing that sometimes. You can just email me at hunteryoga.com. You can find the show notes for this at yogastoriesproject.com. This is episode 51. And this podcast is sponsored by Present Mama Community. This is, these are my people. It's a site, a community I have it has all these yoga, meditations, conscious parenting lessons. In fact, I'm putting up something in October on Present Mama Community about a guided relaxation, mindful guided relaxation for kids, right? So we're getting those questions like, okay, once you're walking the walk, how do I share it with my kids? So putting that up this month, and we have multiple coaching calls in Present Mama Community. You can go to presentmamacommunity.com to check that out. If you're interested in diving even deeper, I do one-on-one coaching, and I do 3-month or 6-month sessions with that. If you're interested in that, we can get on the phone and talk about it. You can go to hunteryoga.com and check out under Work With Me, and you'll find information about that. And I want to thank William Fields for the music. Thank you, honey. And to you, my friend, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your ears. If you liked this episode, please let me know at hunteryoga.com. Or on Facebook at Hunter C Yoga, I think it is. And I wish you a really beautiful week, and I hope that this podcast has helped you. Namaste.